Welcome back everyone to this video. In this video, we're going to be looking at how to kind of add that little pop in our game. We're going to implement the melee level into our game, basically allowing it to scale our damage, actually do damage and gain XP off of the zombies, etc. instead of obviously just clicking a button, right? So the first thing we're going to do is in our player types, we're going to add a few things. So not in our player types, in our environment, we're going to head over to attributes and we're going to add one more thing called damage. And in here, we're going to range the max to 999 and then the initial value will be 10. Let me just double check everything else is good. I think that's good, so let's save it. All right, so let's now close, before we close, go to global variables, and there's two more things we need to add. We need a key called attacking player. This will be a player, but we're going to leave it as undefined. And then we're also going to have last inflicted damage, and this will be a number, and the value will be 0 by default. All right, so let's close this and let's head over to the world, and we're going to have two new scripts in here. So those scripts are going to be the damage logic, or one of them is going to be the damage logic and the other will be, we'll find out in a minute. Anyways, let's get started with the damage logic first. So let's add damage logic. And where did our script go? Here we go. So in here, we'll add a new script and we'll call this inflict damage. And there's going to be quite a bit in here, so try to stay with me, okay? All right, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to trigger this when a unit gets attacked. So anytime a unit gets attacked, we're going to inflict damage to that unit. So in here, we're going to add an if-else statement. And the condition we're going to say is going to be a number comparison. And the equal, we're going to change that to not equal. And this one is going to be damage, say entity attribute value. Then we're going to change this to damage, and then this to last attacking item. Last attacking item. Here we go. Click OK. Click OK. And now we're not going to say not equal to 0. We're going to say not equal to undefined value, which we'll get in the functions and say undefined value. Click OK. Click OK. All right, so this basically is just saying as long as the damage is not undefined, then we'll do damage to it, right? So this is the only case, or most of the cases, this is the case where we'll actually want to do damage. So how do we do damage? Let's create a new variable. So we'll say set variable. Here we go. I'm going to set the variable of attacking player. Okay, and we're going to say owner of a unit. We're going to say last attacking player. So we'll say last attacking unit. Sorry. Click OK. Click OK. All right. So we're going to set the variable of the last attacking, or the attack player, which is the variable we just created, as owner of the last attacking unit. So this doesn't necessarily mean the player, but mostly the last attacking unit, right? All right. So now let's add another if statement, if else, and in here we're going to check, or we're going to do damage only for the players. So the melees don't have, the zombies don't have the melee level, right? So we need to make sure that we adjust the damage of the zombies, or really any monster, because they don't have the melee level like us, right? So in the condition, we're going to say number comparison, and we're going to see if this is pretty much the same as the other one of the undefined. So we're going to say not equal number comparison, and we're going to say undefined value. And here we're going to put the melee level. So this will basically check if it's a zombie attacking, right? Because if the melee level is undefined, that means what's attacking us is probably a zombie or some sort of unit that does not have the melee level, right? So we need to put that in. So how do we do that? We go to functions, we say player variable, and then we can just select melee level of the, I want you to guess here what we're going to put. Well, we would have put last triggering unit or whatever. However, we can actually just put attacking player because this is more likely, or this makes more sense because if we just say okay, because we set the variable as the owner of the last attacking unit. So now we can just use that variable that we just created to pop it in here, right? So it's similar to saying the last triggering unit essentially. All right, so now if we do get in here, what we want to do is set variable of last inflicted, no, that's not the one, last inflicted damage as, now this one's we're gonna calculate something. So we're gonna say over here, calculate, and I'm gonna say damage, just double check, entity attribute value. And then in here, I want to say damage. Right, so just click OK. And then here, last attacking item, which is a function. So we're going to say last attacking item. Here we go. Click OK. And now instead of obviously plus, what we'll do is we're going to multiply this. Change this to multiply. And then we're going to multiply it by the square root of the melee level of the player, of the attacking player. So in here, we're going to say functions square root of the player variable. So go in here, say player variable, and player variable melee level of the attacking player. So I think we can just go in here, attacking player, click OK, OK, OK. Now you can see what we have. So essentially, let's recap. If the melee level of the attack player is not undefined, meaning this is the player attacking, then what we can do is set the last, that means we are attacking the zombie, we'll set the last inflicted damage as the damage of the last attacking item times the square root of the melee level. So this will scale our damage depending on the melee level. Now, otherwise, I want you to guess, well, this will mean that the zombie is attacking us, right? So we need to do something similar. We need to add a new action, set variable, and then we're going to set the last inflicted damage, right? Because it's similar to the us attacking the zombie, but this time the zombie is attacking us. So we're going to set the last inflicted damage, but this one you can set as a set number if you'd like. But obviously keep in mind that we want this to adjust depending on what's attacking us, right? So what we want to do is we want to go to functions and we'll say entity attribute value, and we'll say damage of the last attacking unit. So we'll say last attacking unit. Oh no, sorry, item, not unit. I keep forgetting. Item, here we go. Click OK, click OK. Here we go. So now this will set the last inflicted damage to us, which is the damage of the last attacking item, which for the zombies will be the melee attack, right? Because that's what we've given them. All right, so now let's minimize this, and we're going to add a new action here. I'm going to set variable. Now we're going to round down. So we need to take our last inflicted damage and round it down. The reason is because a lot of the time the numbers might not be a whole number. It might be like 7.2, 7.1. So we want to round it down. So we're going to round it down really easily by just saying as a math floor, and then the floor of the last inflicted damage. Okay, okay. So now you can see that we're just flooring the last inflicted damage and then putting it into the last inflicted damage, right? So we're flooring it, meaning we're rounding down. All right, so let's add a new action. Now we want to create text to actually show the damage that we've done, right? So let's say type in create floating text. Now in here, we can start to put in the things that we want to show, right? So for the value of the color, let's just put in, I think I can just put in red like this. Yeah. So now, yeah, that should work. And then for the float, the damage, we're going to want to put in the last inflicted damage. And then the position, so this is at the position of the last attacking unit. So this is kind of a challenge. If you'd like, try to pause the video and try to complete that. So this, the value, the first value, is the value, the string of the last inflicted damage. All right, so in here, what we'll do is we'll go to functions, and we want to convert the string. So we can say string converted from number, and then we put in the last inflicted damage. Click OK, and then at the value, the function that, the function that we want is the position of, entity position. Here we go. So position of the entity, but that entity is the last attacking unit. All right, click OK, click OK. All right, here we go. So we've created the text on top of the last attacking unit, not just the player or the zombie or whatever, but just the one that got triggered, right? All right, so now we want to actually do damage, right? Because we've shown a bunch of text and stuff, but now we want to actually do damage. So to do that, it's pretty simple. We just say set entity attribute value. Here we go. So we're going to set the health of the last attack unit as the health of the last attack unit minus the last inflicted damage, right? So we're going to subtract the inflicted damage to the health of that unit and then set it into the attribute type. Okay, so in here, we can just change this to health. And then in the entity, we're going to say last attacked unit. So those two are simple. Now the value, we need to say, we're going to calculate the health of the unit and then subtract the damage that we just did. So this has to be subtract. And then this one will have to be last inflicted damage. And then this will be the health of the attribute. So we need to use a function for this. So we'll say entity attribute value. There we go. So we're going to get the attribute, the health attribute of the last attacking unit. So we'll have to say last attacked unit. Click OK. There we go. So now we set the value of the health of the last attacked unit as the health subtracted by the damage, right? Because we can't set it to the damage. That doesn't make sense. We have to subtract the damage to the health and then put it into the health, right? So it can be kind of daunting, but that's essentially that's all we're doing. It's very easy. All right. Now we need to check if the player type is a hostile creep. If it is, then we're not going to add XP, but if it is, or isn't, sorry, then we will add XP, right? So we need to add XP to our unit now. So to do this, we'll add an if-else statement, obviously. Now in this if-else statement, what we're going to do is we're going to have a player type comparison. So in this one, we're going to put hostile creeps, and then this one, we're going to put player types. So we're going to go to functions and say player type of player, then owner of a unit, and then we want to say it's owner of the last attacked unit, right? So now we're going to get the player type of the owner of the last attacked unit and see if it's equal to the creep. If it is, what we'll do is we're just going to set the regular XP for the creeps. So hold on. All right, so let's go into here, add new, and we're going to set the variable. In here, we're going to set the, not variable, we're going to set the player attribute value, attribute value. So we're going to set the melee XP of the attacking player. So this is easy. We just say attacking player, right? And then now the value is the question, right? What do we want to do in here? We want to get the current XP of the attacking player and then add the damage that we just did, or some sort of value, right? So what we'll do is we'll add the damage that we do as XP. So it's probably not the best calculation to put, but this works perfectly. So where did I click? Yeah, in here we'll go to functions, calculate. Now the plus, this is perfect. We want to add things. So in here on the first one, we'll say melee XP, right? So we'll go to functions, we'll say player attribute value. We'll get the melee XP of, well, you guessed it, the attacking player. Click OK. Now in the op2, we're going to put damage of the last attacking unit, last attacked item. So we're going to say entity attribute value, and then we're going to get the damage of the last attacking item. Here we go. So this will take the item that we just used to attack, get the damage, and then add it to the XP. So let's click OK. And this is pretty much it. If you wanted to set the variable as something else for if you attacked something else, like maybe another player, or in our case, I think, yeah, we have the boxes. So the boxes I don't think are hostile creeps. So that might trigger the else, but I'm not gonna do that. But feel free to do that yourself. In fact, one thing you could do is take this and then half it for the melee XP, right? So instead of giving full XP from the zombies, you would just half it, right? All right, so let's take a look if I'm missing anything. Let's actually organize our folders a little bit. So we can add some folders that say join, leave. We can put in this guy, join, leave, player respawns, player scripts. I can probably put that in there. Spawn units, unit death. I'm not going to put those in there just because those don't really need to be. And yeah, I think that's good. So we have the level up player. Yeah, okay. We could put those, let's put in a new folder for units, unit logic. And then we can put the spawn units, whoops, in the, where's my folder? Here we go, in this one. I can put it in. Sometimes it's kind of hard to put in a folder. There we go, unit logic, and then unit death, here we go. All right, so let's close this, and let's give it a try. So let's see what happens. So I might have to reload. Oops, I just died. Might have to republish to try. In fact, actually, I don't think that's it, because I think we have to do some stuff in the homie, if I recall. Let me just double check. Nope, I died again. I wasn't paying attention. All right, let's give it a try. Let's go to the AI. All right, it doesn't seem like it's working. So let me try to figure out what's happening, and I'll let you know in just a second. All right, so the problem is actually very small. In the entities, in the bronze sword and melee attack, and you'll have to do this in the future as well, in these swords, we have to adjust the attribute. So the attribute, we need to give it damage, which makes sense because that is what we're using to track whether or not it's the zombie or the player attacking. So in here, just add damage like so, and you can give it a value. I've already done so. You also will need to go to the weapons and remove it from the attributes. So I'll do that in the melee attack. So in the weapon, here you see unit attribute. Let me actually just double check that's what we need to do. Yeah, so let's delete that and save and apply. And now if we play, try to find a zombie, here we go. If I start attacking them, you now see the damage is popping up, and I should be gaining XP. There we go, I just leveled up to level 6. All right, so there we go. That is it for this video. We've implemented damage and XP based on whether I kill them or not, which is really cool. And you can start seeing that the damage might be reversed. So that might actually be a little bug. So let's actually try to figure that out before we end the video. Okay, so I just found out the little bug that we had here in this line. So let's actually try to debug this together, right? The thought process of debugging this, right? So when I was playing, you can see here that it's doing 5 damage, but the text bucket is showing up on their head, right? Which isn't what we want. We want it to show up on my head. So in the thought process is, okay, well, most likely when we're showing the variable, because it does seem that, it does seem that it was doing the right amount of damage. It was doing 5 damage to me. So the set value seems to be working properly, but the problem is showing the text. So let's read this line. Create floating text, blah, 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 inflicting damage at position of the last attacking unit. Not the last attacked unit, but last attacking unit, which is not what we want. So we need to change this to attacked unit. right? So the person who's getting attacked. So now we should save this and play. And now you'll see it should be popping up on my head. Might have to republish. So let's try that. All right, and now you can see that it's popping up on my head. And if I attack them, you can now see my damage is changing based on my level, and I'm doing more damage and it's popping up on their head. Awesome, that is so cool. We've finished our system. All right, now we are done after debugging that a little bit. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed this video part. So I'll see you in the next video.